Part 4. And that my only fear was the fear of doing an unrighteous or unholy thing, for the strong arm of that oppressive power did not frighten me into doing wrong. And when we came out in the rotunda, the other four went to Salamis and fetched Leon, and I went quickly home, for which I might have lost my life, had not the power of the 30 shortly afterwards come to an end, and this many will witness. Now, do you really imagine that I could have survived all these years if I had led a public life, supposing that, like a good man, I had always supported the right and had made justice, as I ought the first thing? No, indeed, many of Athens, neither I nor any other, but have been always the same in all my actions, public as well as private. Never have I yielded any base compliance to those who are slanderously termed my disciples, or to any other. For the truth is that I have no regular disciples, but if anyone likes to come and hear me while I am pursuing my mission, whether he be young or old, he may freely come. Nor do I converse with those who pay only, not with those who do not pay, but anyone, whether he be rich or poor, may ask and answer me and listen to my words, and whether he turns out to be a bad man or a good one, that cannot be justly laid to my charge, as I have never taught him anything. And if anyone says that has never learned or heard anything from me in private, which all the world has not heard, I should like you to know that he is speaking an untruth. But I shall be asked, why do people delight in continually conversing with you? I have told you already, Athenians, the whole truth about this. They like to hear the cross-examination of the pretenders to wisdom. There is amusement in this, and this is a duty which the god has imposed upon me, as I am assured by oracles, visions, and in every sort of way in which the will of divine power was ever signified to anyone. This is true, O Athenians, or if not true, would be soon refuted, for if I am really corrupting the youth, and have corrupted some of them already, those of them who have grown up and have become sensible that I gave them bad advice in the days of their youth should come forward as accusers to take their revenge, and if they do not like to come to themselves, some of their relatives, fathers, brothers, or other kinsmen, should say what evil their family suffered at my hands. Now is their time. Many of them I see in the court. There is Crito, who is of the same age and of the same name with myself, and there is Critobulus, his son, whom I also see. Then again there is Lazinus of Sphatus, who is the father of Hasines. He is present, and there is Ectophon of Stephanus, who is the father of Eponus. And there are the brothers of several who have associated with me. There is Nicotrus, the son of Thucydides, and the brother of Thucydides, now Thucydides himself dead. Therefore, at any rate, you cannot seek to stop him. And there is Perillus, the son of Didymus, who had a brother Titus, and Iwanus, the son of Ariston, whose brother Plato was present, and Anasturus, who was the brother of Adoloperus, whom I also see. I might mention a great many others, any of whom Metellus should have produced as witness in the course of his speech, and let him still produce them if he has forgotten. I will make way for him, and let him say, if he has any testimony of the sort which he can produce. Nay, Athenians, the very opposite is true, for all these are ready to witness on behalf of the corrupter, of the destroyer of their kindred. As Metellus and Annas call me, not the corrupted youth only, there might have been a motive for that, but their uncorrupted elder relatives. Why should they too support me with their testimony? Why indeed, except for the sake of truth and justice, and because they know that I am speaking the truth, and Meletus is lying. Well, Athenians, the like of this is nearly all the defense of which I have to offer. Yet a word more. Perhaps there may be someone who is offended at me. He calls to mind how he feels, on a similar or even less serious occasion, had recourse to prayers and supplications with many tears, and how he produced his children in court, which was a moving spectacle, together with the pose of his relations and friends, whereas I, who am probably in danger of my life, will do none of these things. Perhaps this may come to his mind, and he may be set against me, and vote in anger because he is displeased at this. Now there's be such a person among you, which I am far from affirming. I may fairly reply to him, my friend, I am a man, and like other men, a creature of flesh and blood, and not of wood or stone, as Homer says, and have a family, yes, and sons, Athenians 3 in number, one of whom is growing up, the other 2 are still young, yet I will not bring any of them hither in order to petition you for an acquittal. And why not? Not from any self-will or disregard of you. Whether I am or not afraid of death is another question, of which I will not now speak. But my reason simply is that I feel such conduct to be discreditable to myself and you and the whole state. One who has reached my years and who has a name for wisdom, whether deserved or not, ought not to debase himself. At any rate, the world has decided that Socrates is in some way. How shameful is their conduct! I have seen men of reputation, when they have been condemned, behaving in the strangest manner. They seemed to fancy that they were going to suffer something dreadful if they died, and if they could be immortal if you only allowed them to live. But I think they were a dishonor of the state, and that any stranger coming in would say to them that the most eminent men of Athens, to whom the Athenians themselves give honor and command, are no better than women. And I say that these things ought not to be done by those of us who are of reputation, and if they are done, you ought not to permit them. You ought rather to show that you are more inclined to condemn that the man is who is quiet, but the man who gets up a doleful scene and makes the city ridiculous. But setting aside the question of dishonor, there seems to be something wrong in petitioning a judge, and thus procuring an acquittal instead of informing and convincing him. For his duty is, not to make a present of justice, but to give judgment. And he has sworn that he will judge according to the law, and according to his own good pleasure. And neither he nor we should get into the habit of perjuring ourselves. There can be no piety in that. Do not then require to do what I consider dishonorable and impious and wrong. Especially now, when I am tired of for imputing him the indictment of Miletus. For it, O men of Athens, by force of persuasion and treaty, I could overpower your oaths. Then I should be teaching you to believe that there are no gods, and convict myself in my own defense of not believing in them. But that is not the case, for I do believe there are gods, in far higher sense than in which any of my ancestors, any of my accusers believe in. And to you and to God I commit my cause, to be determined by you as the best for you and me. The jury finds Socrates guilty, and they gave him a decision either to go in exile and disgrace to some island, his followers, or to take poison, therefore killing himself. And he chose to die with honor. He died.